It's time for SEC Pigskin Picks, live from Catfish County, featuring Coach Billy Jack Hoover, Shelley Sizemore, and me, Professor Thorndike Sinclair.
Well, Professor, South Carolina didn't get the memo that they were supposed to beat LSU. That little mistake made us 6-1. I'll not be loquacious. I'll just say we're 54-10 for the year.
Loquacious, Coach?
Yeah, it means to be characterized by or showing a tendency to talk a great deal.
I know what it means, Coach. It just doesn't sound like you. As a matter of fact, I've never heard you use a word bigger than slobber.
Well, that's nice of you to say, Professor. But you see, I got me one of them thesaurus books at the bookstore. I think it's time I try to use some of them fancy words like you do. Do you think that was, pragmatic of me?
Sure, Coach. I will try to be affable about it.
There ain't nothing funny about SEC football, Professor. Get us started expeditiously, please. Talk about this week's games.
Well, Coach, it's the third Saturday in October. That always means Alabama versus Tennessee. Alabama is ranked number 1 and leads the nation in 5 defensive categories. They've dominated everyone they've played this season.
Yeah, and it's not likely to end Saturday in Knoxville. Derek Dooley had hip surgery last week. I think it was because UT Athletic Director Dave Hart wouldn't stop chewing his, gluteus maximus after the Florida and Georgia losses. I told you that thesaurus would come in handy. Anyway, Tennessee's defense has more leaks than a tin roof with all the nails pulled out. And the Bama Steamroller won't be stopped this week in Knoxville.
What about South Carolina at Florida? The Gamecocks are coming off a heartbreaking loss in Baton Rouge, and Florida is still unbeaten and ranked number 2 this week.
This game will determine who's in the driver's seat for the SEC East title. No one expected Florida's ascendancy, and South Carolina has proved that they can play through a tough, hostile environment. It's going to be a close one, but I'll roll the dice on South Carolina again this week. Let's get a couple more out of the way, Professor.
All right, then. Mississippi will stay perfect against Middle Tennessee State in Starkville, and Georgia will keep Kentucky on the skids in Lexington. In Nashville, Auburn visits Vanderbilt.
We've antagonized Auburn just about every week this year, but all levity aside, the War Eagles are in a real bad place right now. Vandy is still Vandy. They didn't have the horses to go 60 minutes with Florida, but I think they're good enough to take down Auburn at home.
Okay, Coach. Let me see your thesaurus.
Here you go, Professor. Ouch! What'd you do that for? You knocked the slobber out of me.
You're a coach, not a linguist.
No, I ain't a linguist. I'm a Hoover. There's some linguists in Catfish County, though. Homer Linguist, he married Sarah Higginbotham. They had a bunch of kids. Frankie, Barbie, Billy Joe, Bobby Joe, Joe Bob, plain old Bob. And at least a couple named Ernest. Dumb as a stump, all of them. Couldn't play a lick of ball either.
Plain old Joe?
Yep, died in Paris.
Was he in the military?
No, he was in the Chevy. He was on his way to Memphis to see Elvis in 1974. There was only one stop sign in Paris, Tennessee, and he managed to run it.
I'll just keep the thesaurus, Coach. I'll donate it to the library.
Library?
Welcome back, Coach.
That's nice of you to say, Professor. Now get Shelley Sizemore on the phone. She's in College Station, Texas for this week's Slobber Knocker Game of the Week. Hey, everybody. This is Coach Billy Jack Hoover. People ask me every day, where's the Beaver Dam Roadside Tavern? Well, I can't tell you just yet, but our website will be up as soon as we can get those little hamsters back running on them wheels again. I guess that's how it works. Now back to the show. All right, slackers, we're back with SEC Pigskin Picks, live from the Beaver Dam Roadside Tavern. We're joined now by Miss Shelley Sizemore, who's in College Station, Texas, for this week's Slobber Knocker Game of the Week, LSU and Texas A&M. What are you doing, Shelley?
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes. If 5 cents is not deposited within 25 seconds, your call will be automatically terminated.
Can you hear me, Coach?
I can hear you just fine, Shelly. Why are you on a payphone?
My cell phone died, Coach, and I don't hardly even know how to use one of these payphones. I had to get a roll of quarters and used over half of them to call Mama. You know how she can go on sometimes.
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes.
Honey, you don't sound very nice. Is that all you can say?
You better talk about LSU and Texas A&M, Shelly, before you run out of quarters.
Well, LSU bounced back nicely last week, beating South Carolina in a nail-biter. Now they travel here to College Station to play SEC newcomer Texas A&M. The Aggies outlasted previously unbeaten Louisiana Tech 59-57 last week. Anytime your defense allows 57 points, there is cause for concern, and A&M coach Kevin Sumlin knows it. However, LSU continues to have problems moving the football. Last week, Zach Mettenberger only threw for 148 yards, and the Tiger rushing attack underperformed as well. LSU's offense versus A&M's defense should be quite a matchup.
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes.
On the other side of the ball, the Tigers will try to slow down Aggie quarterback Johnny Manziel, who accounted for 6 TDs and 678 yards against La Tech. Both teams are coming off emotional victories.
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes.
Dang it. Both teams are coming off emotional victories, but talent will win out. Give me LSU.
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes.
I think you need a boyfriend. I have a cousin.
Shelly, enjoy your trip, and so long from the Beaver Dam Roadside Tavern. For Professor Thorndike Sinclair, this is Coach Billy Jack Hoover. Now remember to follow me on Twitter at Coach Billy J, and follow Shelly at CHELY Sizemore. Now give me 20, slackers.
What's your telephone number? My cousin's real nice. He works down at the London Inn.
Excuse me. Please deposit 5 cents for the next 3 minutes. If 5 cents is not deposited within 25 seconds, your call will be automatically terminated.